listening to 27 Talks Podcast. Step into the world of hair. We've got ideas and stories to share. Supporting salon culture and life. We'll provide the education. One talk at a time. You're listening to 27 Talks Podcast. With your host, Amber Pope. We'll tell you all you need to know. Let us be your inspiration. Won't you join us for the ride? One talk at a time.
This episode, Amber sits down with stylist and beauty industry veteran Stephen Lynch.
Well, hi, and welcome to 27 Talks. Today, I'm so excited to have a friend in the industry who has been a long-time influencer behind the chair with a wide range of, experiences with his vision, his dedication to his craft, Mr. Stephen Lynch. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you, Amber. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure. I couldn't wish for anything more. Thank you.
Thanks for taking some time. I know we're both so busy behind the chair and doing what we do within our own salon spaces, but it's so nice to get a moment to sit down and carve some time out and just chat about this crazy industry we love so much. Yeah,
definitely. What a lot of changes, especially right now, we're going through. I don't know how people are doing it. I'm doing my own thing in our space, mm-hmm. But throughout the world, everybody's just trying to get through this thing.
Absolutely. I will say that you're, one of those leaders in the vision of we've got to get through this and we've got to make it work, and finding those great innovative strategies to still do what we love behind the chair and then still be able to do it safely. You and I have talked a lot about that kind of on between social media and in the salon as well. And I think that I just want to applaud to you that you're doing a great job with you and the whole team at Palabra. They're trying to really raise the standard of safety and still being able to do what we love to do behind the chair. So bravo to you guys for making it work over there. So
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think from the get-go when this situation started, Jorge, the owner of Palabra, he really wanted to set a standard, and he looked to see what was going on around the country and to see what would be the safest way for people to use the space and for our own spacing within the space. So we only have 3 people working at a time, and temperature checks, the sanitation is actually over the top, but we want to be safe, and we want our clients to be safe. We're not even blow drying our clients. And they seem to be okay with that, but it can be kind of life and death. So we're in that situation, and we just don't want to take any chances.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the right approach, is just as cautious as you can be with as much dedication to those practices as you possibly can. And you guys are doing an excellent job at it. So keep it up, because it'll keep our industry strong, especially here in Arizona, where we're hot in many ways, not in just the temperature in terms of our COVID situation right now. So I think you guys are doing a great job. So yeah. I want to talk a little bit about who you are and who you are behind the chair and kind of your journey up into where you're at now at Palabra. I would love to hear how your career has transformed you to today.
Well, basically the story of how I actually got into hair was I was 14 years old at the time, and my best friend Paul Roberts, we were sitting at the lunch table at school. We were in high school, And we were taking out options for our last 2 years at school to see what classes we'd take before we finished. And these classes were basic to go towards whatever career you were going to go into. And I really didn't have a lot of idea. 1 minute I was going to be a policeman, the next minute I was going to be an engineer. Then, it was 2 weeks later, it would have been something else. And then Paul said he was going to be a hairdresser. And I was like, what? Is he going to be a hairdresser? And I'm like, that just never, ever, ever entered my head. And he was like, yeah. He goes, I'm going to be a hairdresser. He goes, I want to go on the cruises around the world and see the world. And he says, and you get to all these different countries and there's all these girls and you can have a girlfriend in this country and a girlfriend in that country. Then when you come home, you can have a girlfriend when you're at home. So it kind of resonated with me a little bit, 2 14-year-old boys talking about what they were going to do. So I became a hairdresser because basically my friend Paul Roberts became a hairdresser. And we stayed friends for years and years. And every time I would go home, we'd always meet up and have a meal and just talk about good old days, school days, apprenticeship days and stuff like that. So that's how I really got into it back in the day. So yeah, originally I'm from Northwest England. I grew up in a town just outside Blackpool. And that's where it all began.
That's amazing. So then after you made the decision for those reasons, you made the decision and then you started did you go right into apprenticeship after cosmetology, or how did that work out? Was it like proper training and then apprenticeship, or was it on the job training for you then?
Well, I actually started as a Saturday boy when I was 14 at my mom's, with my mom's hairdresser. His name was Keith. And so I started with him. So I'd go in and make cups of tea, sweep the floor and stuff like that. And then after 2 years, I started full time. I left school at 16 and I started full time, and I went to this salon called Mr. David, and it was upstairs in the small town that I lived. And they did a lot of little old ladies with really tight curly perms and blue hair and stuff. And it really wasn't me. It was like, why am I doing this? This isn't what I thought I was going to do. Anyway, there was a salon in the center of Blackpool. It was like, there was 2 great salons and this was one of them. And I ended up going and getting an interview there, and they took me on as an apprentice. So for nearly 2 years, I stayed there and did an apprenticeship with them. And towards the end of that, I got onto the floor. They were great educators. They were right at the front of hairdressing at that time. And then I left them and I went to the other great one, and I'd stayed there for about another year and kind of finished off my apprenticeship there. And so between the 2 spots, I became pretty good. They helped me a lot, and it was good fun.
That's amazing. I think apprenticeships, there's nothing else like them. It really is. And I'm such an advocate for that. I mean, you as an educator in your own way, and you kind of bring that all full circle, right? Where you have those experiences where you're hands-on with someone physically moving your body to get the cut, to stand here and this and get that muscle memory in there. And then there's nothing that beats that hands-on in that manner, really. And it stays with you in the fibers of who you are behind the chair. And then you have that, at least for some of us, we have that desire to then pass it along to the next generation, and almost like, children and grandchildren in hair industry. So that's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I totally believe in the apprenticeship approach. Not to say that the schools are bad, but I just believe that, the hands-on, as you're going through your apprenticeship, you're learning to deal with people at the same time. You're learning, because you'll start blow drying, and then you have to talk to the person. I remember, like, when I actually first ever got onto the floor, I mean, for about the first year, I didn't talk to anybody, even look at anybody. I was so nervous. I'd cut their hair, but I was like, okay, what do you want? Okay, there you go. But yeah, but those first 2 years of being on the floor, you learn so much of yourself. You learn so much on how to talk to people and how to treat people.
Absolutely. It is, yeah, you cut your teeth there, that's for sure. And those are the times to make all those mistakes too, especially when you're like under the wing of somebody else as well, where they're overseeing everything. And, gosh, you hate to mess it up in the moment because you're going to have to answer to, whoever's training you. But it is that safety net that you have those stumbles that then are part of your toolbox every other step of the way. And that's awesome. So
Yeah.
Once you finished that, then what was next after that? Once you finished your 2 times apprenticeship and then on, and I had 2 as well, just saying.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a lot of us that like we did 1 and you went back to go finalize in another way.
Yeah.
But
Well, actually, that wasn't the end of it, because then I actually moved to Manchester, and I worked in a salon in Manchester, and we did. When I went in there, I'd already finished my apprenticeship, but their standard was that you basically start again. So for another 18, well, it's about 18 months that I worked there. I was on the floor, but I did models for 2 days. So just models all day long for 2 days. Then we also did 3 nights a week, just doing models. So it was super intense. And once you got through that, the thing to get you on the floor as a like super senior stylist, you had to do your presentation, and that was like 9 models. And I think at the time it was like five haircuts that were chosen for you, and then the rest were up to you, just creative stuff. And so I did that, finished that 18 months, and then I moved to London. And then when I was in London, I taught haircuts in one of the schools down there for a while. Yeah.
amazing. How much at this stage where you're at now, I mean, how much, obviously COVID aside, but in terms of education, how hands-on are you? Talk a little bit about that. I know that you've brought in many educators and had a hand in kind of bringing the community together, even within the Palabra space. But prior to COVID, what does education look like for you in terms of what you're doing?
I think at the space right now, we haven't done really many classes in the last year. Mm-hmm. Jorge wanted to take a little step backwards from that. But there was talk about starting to bring it back, and then this thing hit. Mm-hmm. So we've done, absolutely nothing because we can't. But I also had a collaboration that I was doing with a friend of mine. I have 2 Instagrams. I have Stephen Lynch at Palabra, then I have one called Hair and Curled. And within the Hair and Curled, me and a friend, we were actually going around and talking to educators. So it was a kind of like a little reality type thing that we were doing. And I loved it. It was great. I mean, we went to London. We had some great interviews in London. We interviewed JB Mazzella, Mark Hayes, some other great people when we were out there. Over here, Charlie Price. So yeah, it was fun. It was fun. So I think for the future of that, I think unfortunately it didn't work out. But for the future, I think what I might do is actually keep it going, but in another format. So I might just do it on my own in another format.
I think whatever you end up kind of stepping into in that, it sounds so exciting. It sounds so awesome. And the direction that you'll have the ability to take it into. It's going to be incredible. And sharing that education and sharing those great masterful people that you even just listed off. I mean, that's so exciting to even get one little snippet of information from those folks. I mean, that would be incredible. So we're proud of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like being with half a day, and Mark Hayes, we were with Mark Hayes for about 2.5 hours, just literally just sitting around chatting. He was telling us all sorts of crazy stories of how he met, when he first met Vidal, and it was great. And then, I don't want it just to be like the super high guys as well, because some of the people that we were talking to were just normal people in salons, but it was just like, their life within the industry. And it's some really interesting stories. It's fun.
That's awesome.
You'll see more of it eventually.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm going to keep bugging you till I do.
Well, you'll be in it one day.
Oh, well, I'll be happy to be there. Anything you need. I always tell you that. So we're both in Arizona. So for those who don't know, Palabra, you're located in downtown Phoenix. And then I'm on the east side of town. But for as widespread as this valley is, I think it goes really industry wide. We are very tight in the sense that it's, you can just, it's 1 degree of separation, like everywhere you turn in this business. But I have to say, and just another applaud to you and who you are. You have always been someone that is so inspirational to myself and to other people here within the Valley, with all of Phoenix metro area. I mean, in your track record is, internationally, not only just here in Arizona, but I think that you bring a sense of that camaraderie to our business that we do need, and you yourself make it stronger by being part of it. And so I want to say thank you to you for that, because it really brings us all together with the joy that you have of the craft that you do and the elevation of the standards of what you do. I think it's really incredible, and what everybody over at Palabra does as well. So thank you guys for being, an integral part of what this valley has to offer in terms of hair. I think it's always growing, and you yourself are a part of it. And so I've always been grateful for leaning on you with that. So I appreciate it. But
yeah, thank you so much. It was when we started talking about doing the classes at Palabra, that was kind of the main reason, was to try and bring, salons together, bring people in. And when we were doing it, we did that, but we also got people coming in from Denver. We got people coming in from, from New Mexico and California, and, people coming up from Tucson. So, it really did start to, gel people together. It was awesome, and it's just great to meet other people from other salons and see what they're doing, and copy them a little bit, and because that's what we do. We see something and we go, oh, I like the way they do that. I'm going to try a little bit of that next time.
Absolutely. And we take those ingredients and we put our own flavor with it too, and it something exciting comes out of that, watching somebody do something just a little bit different, and it sits in with you, and you oh yeah, I am going to try that. That's what the artistry of what we do behind the chair is. And having that support though is where it's not competitive, right? I think there's the hindrance within the business and within salon to salon, stylist to stylist is, that bit of good competition is great, but competitiveness to where don't step on my toes. There's no for that. We can support each other, and we can grow this industry to be something even more phenomenal by really leaning in with each other and sharing what's working, what's not working behind the chair in terms of business, whatever it is. And so again, that's why I'm so grateful for people like yourself, because it's great to have that sounding board to bounce off some of those ideas too, and really being able to take the industry in a new and better direction, even in, our bubble of Phoenix,
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, even like back in the early days in my apprenticeship, all the apprentices that I worked with, they were my friends outside as well. So all our competition within law was super friendly competition. If someone would do a blow dry, but it was like, well, I'm going to make my blow dry better than that one the next time round. But it was all in a good, oh, you did that hair, my haircut, my next haircut's going to be better than that. But we were learning off each other by that because it was competitive. It was good. It was good, It was good to be competitive, but in a nice way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It pushes you for the better. It does.
Yeah.
It really does. Well, now that, obviously the way that the world is and things are so kind of hindering because of COVID and because of our limitations that we're putting out there for ourselves. But aside from that, what is like in the next steps for your future? I know you talked a little bit about kind of getting that education and, and formatting your talks in terms of, bringing that back to life again. So I think that's going to be so exciting. But what else do you have envisioned for your future? I think it's important to talk about what's next and be positive, because it's so easy to be down in the dumps about how everything is right now.
Definitely. I think, we unfortunately, we do live in the US and nobody in the world wants us. We can't, it's like, I would love to go home tomorrow, but, you go home and you have to stay in quarantine for extra, but, the UK doesn't even want us over there. So, the last 3-4 years, me and my girlfriend, Renee, we've been going out to Asia, and that's where I want to go. It's like, as soon as this thing lets us go, I'll be on the first plane out, because I want a vacation. I want to go back, and I want to go back to Thailand. I want to go back to Vietnam, and so I'm just praying and hoping for those days to hurry up. If someone hurries up with a vaccine and treatment and stuff, and we can actually get out of here, that is my future. And I would love to live over there at some point, even if it's just for 6 months or a year or something like that. Just go and experience that, take lots of pictures and film and talk to people. That's what I look for. And then back in England, I have a grandson in England. He's like 2 years old now, so we FaceTime, but you can't hug on FaceTime. So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to, the future. And then hair wise, I've got my, my thing that I'm going to come up with. I don't want to say too much about it. But,
No, you're good.
But, and then, if we can, get some education back in the salon, stuff like that. It's, it's just a tough time right now. It's kind of mind blowing how this thing is taken us all over.
It is. It's definitely the topic of conversation, that's for sure. And then part of our daily life. I was on 2 separate educational platforms today, obviously virtually, but that's such the norm right now, right? Is just in terms of like, if you're going to have any sort of education, whether it's product knowledge or salon business or whatever it might be, everything is still, it's happening, but remote. And it's like, it still feels like everything is moving forward, but it's a very different picture than it once was, for sure.
Yeah, I've been doing. I think I mentioned this to you like the other day, but I've been doing some stuff on a website called Skillshare.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So in the day I used to do some photography and stuff like that. So I thought, maybe I'll start taking pictures again. So you can normal people edit video and all sorts of things. So I've been doing classes, on there, and obviously watching people do hair. A little bit of there's actually some guys in London, ACL, that have started doing some online education, and their stuff's really good. They're from a salon called Radio, and the guy who owns Radio, there's 3 or 4 salons in London. We went out there and we spoke to them last year, and super nice guys, very extremely into their craft, and so we spoke to them for a good morning, and now they've come up with their online, and it's actually really super good. So if anybody out there wants a different angle on education, ACL education out of London, very good. And then some other guys actually out of London, Slate Education, they're great as well. Yeah, I actually before this all went down, kind of talking to them about coming over, and I was in London last October when Salon International was on, and I got to meet all the Slate team then, and we wanted them to come over, but obviously no one's going anywhere right now, so hey, one day
It'll happen.
It'll happen.
It will happen. We'll put it out there. It's gonna happen. Everything is gonna continue and make it positive, right?
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask you a couple questions, and I'm gonna have to modify because you answered a few of them already. So I have to pop up my questions myself. Okay. So are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, you're in downtown Phoenix. So what's your favorite spot for downtown? Like your have to go to spot for your recommendation for downtown?
Futuro. Obviously, yeah. Where else do I go downtown? I actually kind of like, it's kind of funny now because we haven't been able to go anywhere for 6 months. You kind of forget where you're supposed to go. But I love Lola. Lola Coffee is a good spot. Yeah, I've been going there for years. So yeah,
that's a good spot. That's a good suggestion. I like it. Okay, so these are random. You got to bear with me, but we're having fun with it. Okay, so what's your favorite cookie?
Would be kind of oatmeal.
Really?
Oatmeal. Yeah. I like
Why is that your go-to cookie?
I can't eat chocolate.
Oh, really?
I don't eat chocolate anymore. So, yeah. So an oatmeal cookie I go to, yeah.
Perfect. Well, you already said where you're from. So instead, I'll say, what do you miss most about home and where you're from?
Okay. Well, it was a seaside town, so my hometown. So it was always nice to walk, along the beach and stuff like that. I miss kind of people and sarcasm and comedy, because the Brits are kind of very funny. They make fun of each other. The Americans don't do it so much. So I do kind of get into trouble. So I get a little mouthy, and, back home, we insult each other and it's funny. But in America, you insult somebody and they kind of don't like you about it. So yeah, sarcasm, wit, yeah, stuff like that. And obviously family. Yeah,
of course. Well, I like your wit. We can banter each other. That's totally fine. How would your clients describe you?
I would say a lot of them think I have a lot of patience. Patient. I'm pretty friendly, so friendly and patient with them. That's probably pretty much what it is. I'm funny, yeah. I'll make fun of my clients as well.
I love it. Let's see. What is your favorite getaway spot that's the best kept secret? And you may have touched on it already. You can elaborate if you did, unless it's a different one. Favorite
Okay.
getaway,
Well,
secret.
best kept secret getaway spot. Where would I? Well, I went camping, and it was up in Prescott. So for this weekend, that would be the spot that I would go back to, just to get away. It was quiet, it was nice, and I just basically sat there and did nothing. But I love Southern California, so pretty much anywhere over there, La Jolla or Del Mar, somewhere like that. Yeah.
I love Del Mar. I love it over there. Okay, what is your favorite hair trend, past or present?
Hair trend or present? I would say geometrics. I love, that's kind of when I grew up. It was the hard lines, asymmetric stuff like that, those bobs, so with JB for the day was pretty awesome. They're so crisp on that. There's a super great guy, Fraser Wallace, out of London. He's actually just opened up his own salon back up in Scotland. He's a Scottish guy, and his work is phenomenal when you look at his shapes and stuff. So yeah, the geometrics. I think it is. It's whatever you grew up on. When you first started. You look at the guys today, and a 6 to 18-year-old girl going into hairdressing right now is probably just all shag. Yeah. Or all about making someone's hair bright green, or something like that. And they'll probably look at a box bob and go, whatever. But for me, a box bob is like an amazing haircut.
Always a favorite of mine as well. Always a favorite. Give me the Louise Brooks every day of the week. I'll take it. How, I know you just said though, with your Prescott trip, you were able to get out of town and you tuned out and turned off. But how do you normally do that on the regular? How is it that you actually can kind of like unplug and unwind for yourself?
I probably just watch a bit of TV, to be honest. Something mindless, or or a documentary, or something like just something that just takes you away from what is actually going on outside the window. Yeah, so a little bit of TV is always good. Comedy as well. Yeah, Netflix. It's good for you.
The Netflix comedy. We've been watching Schitt's Creek, and it's been so funny. I love it, love it, love it. It's a great way to just shut everything else out.
That's a great show. I had clients telling me, "Oh, you should watch this. You should watch this. It's really funny. It's really great." And I was like, "No, I just like looked at it. No, I don't want to do that." And then it was like, "Okay, we'll watch it." And yeah, you get glued to it. It's hilarious. It's the funniest. So good.
It's funny. It really is. I love it too. Well, that and The Office. Those are our two, like, at the end of the day, you just want to put something on and just kind of nearly fall asleep to it in like the best way, because you can finally sort of like unwind your brain a bit. And yeah, those are the two go-tos for us too. So that's awesome. Well, I am so grateful that I got a chance to sit and talk with you and hear a little bit about your journey to where you came from in terms of that early on behind the chair to where you are at today. I mean, you and I have had numerous hours of conversation regarding this industry, and I get excited every time I get a chance to just share with you. And I'm so grateful that you were able to sit and chat with me for a little bit. And I'm always here as an ear, and I always am excited to hear what you have to share. So I want to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for letting me do this.
So awesome. And I can't wait for our next chat, and we'll make it soon.
Okay, definitely.